Indeed, and it looks like we are off here. Both races going to start in Link's house, get us the flute.
Ooh, now this is an item I like to see early because now our runners will be able to get around the overworld much faster. If I'm seeing this at the start of a solo seed, I'm like, yes, got the flute early. But in a race, you're like, oh, wait, my opponent's got the flute too. Ooh, nice triple.
That's an excellent tree pull to find. Early bombs will make it much quicker to check places like Kakariko.
Absolutely, because with the early bombs, now you're guaranteed to go through Kakariko in the optimal north to south route instead of south to north. But this enemy set, ooh, this is gross. Ooh, Fry takes a death, but gets a bomb 4-pack, so despite the death, does have an advantage in terms of bomb count.
Indeed, picking up a full heart out of the sanctuary, not the sanctuary heart, maybe.
Well, a slight chance of that. Oop, quick map check, and it was red pennant on Hera and crystals at Eastern and Desert.
Very interesting. Of course, with this being Randomizer, that does mean our bosses are swapped as well. So we don't actually know who we're going to be seeing at the ends of the dungeons.
That's very true. You could get a seed where you, say, run into Blind at the end of Palace of Darkness, or Trinex in the desert.
This seed is just being very nice with all of these bomb drops.
Maybe a little too nice, but the jury's out on that one. Ooh, for Randomizer, that's really nice.
That is an excellent early find.
That one, in Randomizer, silvers are your friend because it's going to blast through a number of extremely tough enemies in just one shot. And yeah, can't say enough positive things about that.
Indeed. Looks like we're going to get the exact same play here. They're nearly in sync. This is quite fun.
Let's see, what do we get here today? Blondes from Ether Medallion. Nice. Mushroom. That is a possibility of being something at the Witch's Hut. And your first 10 arrows. Now we just need a bow. And we got ourselves a piece of heart. Ooh, that's a tough one. When you have silvers, it'd be Vitreous all day, but without silvers, that makes it a really tough call, because all three of those bosses are tough. And we get Quake Medallion. These medallions really have a greater use in Randomizer because they can really help out in situations that you wouldn't think to use them otherwise. And we got Blue Mail early.
And a bomb refill, and our first bottle. We don't have to come back for the second kid.
That's one of the nice things about finding a bottle early. You don't have to worry about that, and the bottle vendor is just giving out 20 bucks. And it's time to activate the flute, but saltyphry is 4 rupees short of the bottle vendor. Not that he's missing out on much, but that check could weigh on his mind.
Thankfully, with the flute, it's not a hard check to get to at all.
Very true. I do remember one nightly race where I was 4 rupees short and it turned out to be progression. Well, not the case, just remembering that. Well, not a good memory. Oh boy, Chicken Coop's got enemies in it, and that's one of the joys of Randomizer. You could see something like this.
A sick kid just giving us more arrows.
And bombs in the chicken coop. And Wong is out of there. Now, while medallions would be good in that situation, you need a sword to use them, so not gonna happen.
Saltyphry playing a bait here with the guards.
Doing a pretty good job of it, too. I don't think I've ever seen that one before either. That could be interesting. Personally, I'd want to see Mothula in any room other than Mothula's room. Well, we now get to see what's at the race game, and that's a heart container. Wong's not going to pick that up. He's going right for Ice Rod Cave.
And just a full heart container as well in the library. Good amount of health available if they decide that it's getting too dangerous.
Piece of heart in the Ice Rod Cave. Wong not wasting any time in turning in the mushroom. While Fry, by draining the swamp, what does he come up with?
Lots of
Bombs
bombs.
and ew, pocket change. Ouch. Move right along.
Interesting. Salty not going to go towards Mini Moldorm Cave, instead of heading up for Sasahala in Eastern.
Also, quick note, this is race 2 between these runners, and the flags are chosen by prdwong. But will we find out what green pendant is in here? Because talking to Sahasrara will reveal that hit. Ooh, nice rupee hoard. I could see that happen in a seed if Trinex or Cold Stare aren't needed. And Fire Rod also does depend on Skulls. Oh boy, now I'm starting to see why Fry may not have gone to Mini Moldorm Cave. A spiked log roller. Yikes!
Well, that's just rude.
Well, that's Randomizer. Oh, wait a minute. We've got only one random enemy in Mini Moldorm Cave.
That's actually a first.
Don't see that every day in Randomizer.
Saltyphry getting mugged on his way up to the Ice Rod Cave.
And our first lift upgrade was in Mini Moldorm Cave, so that progression is probably going to bring Wong over to the back of Escape, I would think.
Sounds about right for me. Yep, indeed, going straight for the back of Escape.
This feels like progression while Fry's in the desert. That's just a piece of heart and a BMOS. Thankfully, those BMOS can't shoot from up there. That'd be scary.
Magic powder, a little bit of love, and our first sword in the back of Escape. Two really good runs back there.
Absolutely. Powder is going to be helpful in turning anti-fairies to fairies, as well as the magic bat check, but we need the hammer to be able to get there. We shall see where this goes, as I think the next play would be maybe Death Mountain, question mark? As an idea.
Or escape sequence, which looks like where prdwong is going.
Not a bad play to make in this situation. Not a lot of items, so you might as well check out the front of the castle.
Death Mountain, unfortunately, only giving us maximum of 2 items with no hookshot and no mirror.
Right, the question I would have is this: would it be worth gambling on Darkroom enemy sets? As saltyphry buying a bomb upgrade, that's a version 30 feature, where instead of being in the item pool, the bomb upgrades and arrow upgrades are purchased in that manner. Ooh, that's rude.
That's very rude. Ooh, getting chased down by a giant Stalfo snipe there.
That's another thing about Randomizers, that you can see Stalfos Knights in the overworld. And so, usual strategies for dealing with enemies, well, those kind of get chucked to the wayside. Ooh, Fry just missed with that bomb. Not by a lot, but just enough for it to be a miss. So here he'll get his power glove.
Probably go straight to the back of escape.
Yep, where he'll get his sword and powder. He's just doing a save quit there. And that's interesting. No ball. Well, so the castle did not pay off. It was a good play, just not the one the game wanted you to do this time.
Yeah, because at this point they've got doing the Last Old Man out of Logic, and then the Spectacle Rock Cave. In our Spectacle Rock Cave, I should say. Then they've got however many items we can get out of Eastern.
If I had to guess, I'd say the play at this point would be taking a shot at Eastern, because it does not look like anything overly nasty other than the spike traps have spawned on the route. So, we shall see what happens. saltyphry heading for the castle, which is unfortunately not going to yield what he's looking for.
Looks like PRD is heading straight for Eastern here, though.
I'm liking this play quite a bit from a routing standpoint, because you can get up to 3 items here on your first visit to Eastern, and in this situation, that could be progression.
Very true. saltyphry deciding safety is better than risking it this early in the game, doubling back for some hearts.
Can't blame him, because that particular enemy, I think it's called a yapping maw, does a lot of damage if it hits you, even with a blue mail.
Just the compass so far in Eastern, and we are guaranteed the big key in one of the first locations. So we're down to only, well, technically, I can't do math in my head today, evidently.
It's all good. Ooh, hello, Wallmaster. And that's the thing at Randomizer, you can get a nasty... Oh, hello, Moon Pearl. Yeah, you can, as I was about to say to finish my thought, you can get a real nasty surprise in an unexpected Wallmaster, so constant movement in dungeons does help. That way you avoid a nasty surprise.
Moonpell's nice, but we don't have Hammer. Or the other lift upgrade for Darkworld access quite yet.
Yep, at this point, that's what we're after. Alternatively, a lamp and a cape would point to needing Castle Tower for Darkworld access, and I don't think we really want to see that. Oh, and a hint tile. Now, that green hint is a community hint. Those hint tiles can provide some helpful information, but not the ones where the text is green. That's right, there is one item left in sewers, however, it's in a dark room. And I think it's really up to the runners as to whether they risk it in a dark room situation or not. Because worst case scenario, you could walk into a dark room with something really nasty like Wizrobes or Vinyls, and that would not end well, in all likelihood, especially on this setup where you have no means of damaging a line. That's one use of the Ether Medallion there, and that's one thing the medallions are good for, is clearing out enemies, especially when you get into some really sticky situations. To answer that real quick in chat, no. Wallmasters are dungeon only, because they take you back to the beginning of the dungeon.
Some pin gators slipping and sliding around the back room there.
Yep, and speaking of, that's an enemy that if they're not jumping to slide and you use Quake Medallion, they go down in one hit. Oh, nice! Those flippers might be out of sequence, but that is a fantastic pickup. Wong is taking a bit of a risk here. Nicely done. Bit close, but he got it done.
Indeed.
Oh! The red Tektite gets the drop on prdwong, and that is a death.
Unfortunate. Doesn't look like we're going to see him try to go back in there, though. And
At this point, can't blame him, because that's pretty deep in the dungeon, so probably come back later when you're better equipped, just in case. But with the flippers, even though it's out of sequence, even though the pickup was out of sequence, rather, you can still come up with some really cool stuff, and Starfos are doing the water walk.
There was a crystal roller in the lake as well.
That's one of the more interesting aspects of Randomizer, is enemies walking on water.
How about only sharing what little bit of love he owns with us?
Interesting that... Okay, I think I understand what he did there. He used flute to avoid having to swim. Not sure which of the two is faster, to be honest, but works out all the same. I wish I knew how these enemies were doing the water walk, because It would be fun to see a level playing field that, oh, half magic! Really, really nice, especially in Randomizer. Because medallion use tends to go up in this logic from what I've experienced. And bottle filled with a B-Torp!
And we got a tiny shield out of that waterfall fairy as well.
But later games basically said that Octorok swims, so this actually makes sense.
Bombs on ledge, not enough money for the Zora check.
Now, the Zora check would be in logic because of the lift upgrade, so there may yet be something there. Ooh, this room looks pretty rough between those statues coming at you. Got the fairy pickup though, nice. The tech types and the electrify. I think there was a remind me of Bari and Beery that are in Ocarina of Time for some reason. Similar property.
Making good use of the pot slayer to be able to get these enemies down.
Especially the red tech type. That thing took a beating, and this boss isn't even randomized. But hey, that's all good.
Cannon Armor's Knights in Eastern Palace. That's a...
But this time, fighting him with just a sword. I like this rapid slash strategy. It seems to be wearing him down pretty quick.
Definitely takes a little bit longer than bow and arrow, but...
That reminds me, I did see a Cane of Burn strat once that took them all down pretty quick, but it required full magic.
Don't die now, saltyphry.
Think he's in a good spot to get this done. And Fry got it done to get the first crystal. Unfortunately, only a piece of heart. While prdwong getting 20 rupees for getting the old man up there, but more importantly, can now restart from Death Mountain, and I'm gonna end that thought right there to avoid commentator's curse. See what we got here. Just a big 20 on the ledge. Ooh, doing a blind check of the cave. Not a bad idea.
We do have a hint tile in here, so...
The hint tile might be worth it, too. Oh, that's the magic mirror. That's Hera access right now.
Not a single actual hit yet so far.
Yep, just community hints. But safe to say, the play to go up to Spectacle Rock really paid off. But that is one nice thing about Randomizer, is that the bullies go down in 2 hits.
Indeed. Just 20 bucks on top of the rock, but technically Zora... Still have to check Zora, so any money's better than no money.
True that, and we don't know if we have to go into pods, so that's another 110 right there, but not picking it up. Interesting. I don't like the looks of that, because that means your item could be fire-locked. Hope not. Going is not even in this game. Next. Oh, got the big key. Okay, we good.
All we have to do is hope the map or compass are down there and not an item.
Yeah, because at this point, an item not being down there without a fire source, and you get a progression item heading up, you could have a potential for a Hera double dip if that second item is progression.
Very true. Saltyphry gonna be grabbing his mirror, won't be too far behind prdwong here.
And the first item's only 20. Okay, now that's a good hint to have, because that way you'll know that you don't have to go back for Swamp Palace's big chest, should that be a required dungeon. Oh, hello, Hammer!
Isn't that a vanilla hammer location as well?
No, that's the Moon Pearl that's there.
Ah.
And while Wong opting for a save and quit, I wonder if he should have mirrored out to check East Death Mountain on that instead.
Possibly going for the Dark World location. And to answer the questions in chat, Yep.
Going for Hype Cave and a map check, and Green Pennant's Turtle Rock with Blue Pennant at Palace of Darkness. Everything else a crystal.
Didn't quite check. And our 5-6 crystals at Ice Palace and Swamp.
A Rupee Horde, nice. We got our money requirement. Ice Rod Titans, Mitts, Master Sword, and, well, despite the 350 rupees total, I think this Hype Cave pretty much just proved me wrong. It's like the game knew I was gonna doubt it or something.
Funnily enough, I think part of the reason prdwong did a dip is because Hera is a pendant dungeon.
Well, true, but, well, me, I would have checked Paradox Cave and all of East Death Mountain, but that's just me. Ooh, getting a hint in Swamp, what is the hint? Just a bit late on that one, game. Just a little bit late. 2 minutes too late.
Oh, that's funny.
This game certainly has its amusing moments, but that's Randomizer. Ew, rough place for that spike slider.
Turtle Rock for Breeze. Also, chat, shout out for Breeze Ninja in chat. He is our tracker for this, doing a wonderful job.
And it looks like Saltyphry's heading up to take out Moldorm, even though that's not necessarily required. Oh wait, he just actually went upstairs to see what the boss was, and seeing it was Vitreous, immediately noped out. Can't blame him.
Indeed. He is, however, going to go make those East Death Mountain checks you were thinking about.
We got a digging game for prdwong, and it's the second shield.
Very, friendly seed so far. Not too much health, but red shield, blue mail already?
Unfortunate break for this Spiral Cave having baby Helmosaurs in it. Basically have to take them out with the hook shot or stun them somehow. Yeah, Hammer Vidi in Moldorm room with 5 hearts. That's That's definitely a pass, no doubt. Ooh, red potion in Spiral Cave. Nice.
Hammer Peg's a little dangerous today.
Yeah, between the Igor trying to run you over and the Beamos that's chasing you down, yeah, quite dangerous, but gets the job done. Not even worth it, though. So far, a heart container and 20 rupees in Paradox Cave. Easy enemy set, 1 slash and done. Piece of heart for the blacksmith. Rupee stash. And the Cane of Samaria, so there was something in Paradox Cave.
Cane of Samaria required for this seed because we will need it for Misery Mire.
Ooh, that was a smart strategy because that guard with the spear could have poked the spear over the hole while falling through, and that would have been a death. Good call.
And just more arrows.
While saltyphry is on the right track here, heading towards Hype Cave, and he's going to see that this Hype Cave is certainly full of hype.
PRD opting not to go forward with the rest of the blacksmith chain by doing the purple chest, opting to instead do the rest of the Thieves' Town clears here.
Understandably so because of the low health. And he starts by picking up the blue boomerang, which in terms of pickups at this point, you're still pretty low on health. That's definitely something that'll be helpful in combat. And you can also get a stun prize off any enemy you stun with the boomerang or hook shot or using the Quake Medallion. So certainly some viability there. $50 prize on the chess game, got some of your money back and then some. And now we get into Thieves' Town, where Wong opting to take a quick death to get some health back. Good strategy to do that early in a dungeon. Quick big key.
Thieves' Town's always one of those more dangerous dungeons just due to the tighter corridors. Randomizer makes that sometimes better, sometimes worse.
This could be a very dangerous play in inverted mode, especially if you do this early and don't have a weapon. You're basically trying to dodge everything. Literally.
Indeed. Picking up that secondary small key very early, though, possibly means we've got something in the big chest downstairs.
But with a hammer, that won't be a problem.
Indeed.
To answer that in chat, just to piggyback off that, I remember watching those matches, and it was those matches that got me into Randomizer.
PRD making good use of the magic powder in order to get some health back.
Also a great way to get the anti-fairies out of the way.
Indeed.
Speaking of...
Gotta love running into a giant Stuffhouse Knight on a conveyor belt.
Quite amusing to just stun the... Uh-oh. Finish that thought in a moment. Doesn't even bother with the switch, just gets up the stairs. Before they hint, I would believe... Endgame's repeating itself on hints now.
That's
That got rid of 2 of the enemies, but the hard hat-beat turtles are still a thing because those need the hammer. While saltyphry is going for purple chest.
interesting.
Better be careful, because you gotta get this hole open in order... I mean, you don't really have to do a Randomizer, but this is not a good place to go down.
prdwong just launching the fake sword into the wall.
Probably shattered like weapons do in Breath of the Wild, but that's another story for another day. Ooh, nice dodge. Well played to get out of there, while saltyphry finding 320 rupees total in Mire Shed.
Gonna opt to go into desert here. Not a bad move.
Could get 1 item out of here, possibly get 2, but you cannot complete without a fire source. So, yeah, this is really more of a check of the dungeon, if anything. Oh, hi, Bob. I didn't realize you were here.
And indeed, big key on torch. The boots
And
of full woods.
the timeliness of that hint. I mean, they say timing is everything, and that timing was pretty darn good. Okay, so this trip won't be a total bus, so we will have access to East Desert. And we got land molas. And PRD is going for Master Sword strats. Now, a strat you could use here, and that's exactly what he's going for, is the Ice Rod. Does damage to each land mola equivalent to the Fire Rod, but the attacks are slower moving.
But does it very well.
Absolutely. Boss down, dungeon done. And just couch cash in the checkerboard cave. And it looks like PRD is making the Skull Woods play. Now, he did not go over to Mire Shed. That was salty. Yeah. You'll be pleased to see the boots are here, assuming they're not in the last part of the dungeon that's Fire Rod blocked.
It's true. And if he does find the boots, he's going to be very mad when he does find that hint. Why couldn't you have been earlier? An early big key, though.
I'm in a good place to find it, too, while Fry is not too far behind. Oh, there they are.
Vroom, vroom. Well, that's a car noise, but still.
Gotta go fast.
Indeed.
Fry opting for a different entry point, though. Getting a small key, and it's gonna mirror back over. Let's see how he plays this. Oh, yep, he's going left, and he's about to find him. There we go.
Flute and boots combination allowing. Oh, that Pingator.
That Pengator just did a rude. Good bonk over to avoid taking a death. But instead opts to go right back in and take a death for a health refill, and that is a very good strategy because an overworld death is painful.
That it is. Saltyphry going to mirror, get us a bump check. Possibly also heading over by the King's Tomb, I should say.
Yeah, by using the mirror here, he'll be able to get all 3 checks very quick, and we got a shovel up by the bumper cave. Could the cave be required? It's tough to say, but now we're about to find out about Lumberjack Cave. And vanilla. Not required. Heart container up above the pose. Salty picks that up.
And off to King's Tomb.
Arrows.
So what's the move at this point? We don't have access to the rest of the woods. We don't have access to anything in Swamp Palace except for the first chest because we don't have. No, wait, we picked up hammer. I'm out of my mind today.
It's everything north of the big chest room that we can't access in Swamp. I've got a feeling that, especially knowing that we have access to Canis Samaria, I'm starting to question if there isn't something in East Dark Death Mountain or Turtle Rock itself, as our runners do have a chance of being able to get in there.
Yeah, my thought process, Turtle Rock or Pod are the 2 biggest dungeons for chest collections in terms of.
The Thief Sound boss was Landmola's. Though there's another possibility of bonking into Misery Mire, and while PRD won't be able to clear it, if Fry were to go that way, he'd be able to. And what was that medallion? I didn't quite catch that. Wait, so entry is definitely possible. So if Fry were to head that way, completion would certainly be in the cards.
We have a lot of places we can go, but we can't complete a whole lot of dungeons, unfortunately.
Yep. So, I mean, the only thing stopping our runners from getting into Ice Palace at the moment is they don't have Bombos or Fire Rod. The PRD is about to get farther into desert than Salty was able to on his first visit.
Purity probably just thinking, well, I could have used that hint 5 years ago.
Yep, and that's what led Salty to Skullwoods. And a map in the big chest.
I believe that does mean whoever is back in the boss room for desert has the last item, or did I miscount?
I believe you are right. So, depending on the boss, could really determine what it is. I mean, you could wind up with Blind or Mothula in those rooms, and it would still be a fairly good fight. I could see Helmasaur King being a decent fight there, but there are also fights that would be boss blocks, such as Cold Stare, such as Trinex. Can't beat those at the moment. Oh, hey, a mirror shield. Nice. But is opting to take off because you need a fire source to finish desert. So if they do get Fire Rod and that boss turns out to be Trinex, you're all set. Oh wait, Argus Hookshot. Derp.
Indeed. Looks like PRD is going to head to Death Mountain here.
I like this play because while PRD did not do this earlier, he's actually going to save a bit of time because he'll be able to do this and Dark East Death Mountain in one go.
Might even decide to dip Turtle Rock while we're up here, depending on what medallion's required.
That's certainly a big question there, and I think PRD is going to waste no time and start this East Death Mountain exploration by opening the Turtle Rock teleporter. I like this move because it saves you the trouble of having to do it later, and you got a 2 in 3 chance of getting in.
And it's Ether.
That works out pretty well, so Canis Samaria is all he needs to enter. We'll get that in Paradox Cave. We shall see what the rest of the east side of Death Mountain holds on the Dark World end.
I'm gonna get this hint tile checked. Unique item and a heart container.
So let's think about this. Ice Palace is the 2 red crystal dungeons are Ice Palace and Swamp, so it can't be Hookshot. It is possible for it to be Fire Rod, however, or Bow. Well, depending on the bosses, of course. So we could have something required at Pyramid Fairy, or it could be the single arrow.
That's very true.
Meanwhile, saltyphry has put the freeze on the land molas for his second crystal.
PRD checking at the Hookshot Cave bunk chest. Not getting anything good out of it. Just more arrows.
Going for Spiral Cave to start the East Death Mountain overworld checks, the Light World. Boots will make this much easier, but you can't run through that dead rock unless it's living. It looks like saltyphry is making the Misery Mire play here.
Possibly hoping to pick up a light source on the way?
One would hope that the lamp gets found here because Mire Dark Rooms can be daunting enough to begin with. Add Randomizer to it, and that's got the potential for nightmare fuel depending on the... Speaking of enemy spawns, holy smokes, Batman, that looked nasty.
Very good dodging through that room, though.
And room 2 is a different animal without wizrobes. And that frozen enemy does count as a stun, so our stun prize for this seed is a single bomb. And a nice bomb jump by PRD to cross the gap. Nobody got to Zuri yet. Uh-oh, Lionels. Thankfully, at this point, a Master Sword spin will damage them, so not a complete block, but certainly not something you want to see.
The one time we had someone make it up to the Zora area, they did not have enough money.
So it looks like PRD is foregoing Super Bunny Cave and going right into Turtle Rock to see what that one chest is. What you're hoping for in this situation, you are hoping for either a small key, the fire rod, or some other means of a progression item.
Indeed. And we get lucky.
And since it's a small key, we continue on. So what we're hoping for here is for the key sequence to allow us to continue deeper into the dungeon to where, at best, we get to Laser Bridge. At worst, the chain ends at the chain chomp room, which just has your typical run-of-the-mill Dark World guards. Oh, the big key is just one chest too early, I'm afraid.
We have not seen a chin chomp yet, and now I'm sad.
PRD is taking off. Did not check Super Bunny Cave from what I saw, so... interesting, to say the least. Meanwhile, looks like Salty is going back to hit the switch before proceeding on towards the boss area, while PRD is heading over towards Palace of Darkness. PRD doing a good job to be careful not to get hit by the monkey while with the monkey, because then you have to go back for Kiki, and that just costs time as well as 10 rupees. Time being the bigger issue.
Indeed. I don't know exactly what saltyphry's doing in there, but it was the Samaria block room.
Yep, at this point, he is going through the Mire Dark Rooms, which I've only attempted a couple of times, and Careful now, that Spike is not obeying the rules of physics by not hitting the statue.
PRD does have a potion or two, I think, so I wonder if he's going to attempt to set up a
So the
potion
cape's
glitch.
one of the three. So the cape is one of the 3 chests in the hookshot cave that we could not get to. Knowing that the cape cave holds the shovel, there's a chance there could be something at the end of that sequence, or it could just be a long case of taking the long road to get troll. And it's cold stare at the end. All that work only to find out your item blocked by not having a fire source.
Unfortunate. But useful to know.
Now, for those who are not familiar, how does the potion glitch work so you don't have to deal with that gorilla room? Or is that a case of Randomizer making it easier? Either way.
So the potion glitch works by, if you're using a potion as you go down the hallway, it unlocks the screen, basically. So when you get to the room that normally has the mimics that requires the bow in it, you can just hang and hug the wall, and if you get all of the mimics off the screen, it'll open the door even without having to kill the mimics themselves.
That's good to know, and thankfully PRD found the Cane of Burna, so he could pass by that ugly placement spike trap, one that I would find to be a very rude placement. Not sure what PRD just found in the dark room chest. Well, that was the compass.
We get a preview of the bridge leading down towards the boss area there, and that's a... Ooh.
That's a rough one, to say the least. And while they call this room that PRD's in harmless Hellway, it's anything but harmless in Randomizer.
Indeed.
Here's a good room to use Ether in Randomizer or otherwise. So Super Bunny Cave had a piece of heart and 10 arrows, nothing important.
I'm trying to figure out, what is it that we really need to get this seed rolling at this point? Is a fire source.
It seems like the fire source is the one thing that's been the most trolly. I'm starting to think this seed might be mandating a Swamp Palace double dip. Or trying to. And I've got one word to describe a Swamp Palace double dip. Rude.
Very rude.
Salty's heading into Turtle Rock, but unfortunately is not going to get what he's after here.
Yep, unfortunately we are fire rod locked in Turtle Rock.
We never checked Catfish, though, so that might be where PRD is going at this point. Or Pyramid, for that
Catfish.
matter.
And we still haven't gone up to Zora yet. Haven't gone up to Zora with enough money, that is.
Yep, we've all been there at one point or another, and that's a heart container on the Pyramid. Oh, absolutely. Mirroring from Catfish to Zora is definitely faster, and that was the Sanctuary heart on Pyramid, by the way. But that's also what they do in the speed run to save time in Northeast Hyrule from having to make 2 trips up there. It's all done in one trip, and Optimize saves quite a bit of time.
Indeed. These are some very rude BMOS placements going on in this seed.
Absolutely. And one of the things about BMOS in this game is that unlike future titles, the BMOS in this game cannot be defeated. And PRD mirroring instead of picking up arrows. Not a bad call there. Now we get to see what the Zora scam, or lack thereof, potentially is. Well, that is quite the unfortunate placement for that mini Moldorm, as he does not seem to want to swim.
I mean, Moldorms are desert creatures, so...
Well, I take back what I said. As King Zora was holding a key to the seed and the fire rod, and PRD is blasting Zora's waterfall with some fire rod shots in frustration. As saltyphry taking an intentional death in pod to get some health back.
That's a little frustrating too, because we've had the Zora unlocked since very early on this seed.
Just didn't have the money to do anything with it. And PRD is making the play to Skull Woods to finish it off.
Not a bad move in the slightest. This does mean we can go back to Desert Palace as well and complete it.
Yep, and now we also know, PRD doesn't know this, but now we can finish off Cold Stare at the end of Misery Mire.
And we can also do the Firelocked chest on Misery Mire as well.
We did not see those at all.
Indeed.
Depends on the seed as to whether I finish off Turtle Rock now or later. If it's a seed where I've still got a lot of places to check outside of there, possibly I hold off. But, well, it depends on the read I'm getting from the seed. Oh, that was rude by the Mimic.
And with Turtle Rock being a pendant, we don't even necessarily have to go back to that dungeon today.
On the flip side, if we get a hint that says a required item is a green pendant, then you probably better believe I am definitely heading back there sooner rather than later.
Very true. Oh, a good anti-furry location, but only needs the one to be able to get a full... Why is that here, see?
Oh, gosh. This is nasty, and it looks like we might see a Cane of Burna fight here. This could get laggy, by the way.
This is going to get very laggy.
Halfway home, runs out of magic, though. Is it just me, or one of the armors kind of stuck on the spikes? Okay, maybe not. What a mess. Nicely done. Only gets the map, though, but gets the crystal. PRD is going back in to try and get the second item. With the mirror, this is fairly reasonable compared to, say, not having the mirror.
And we finally have the lamp.
So we needed 500 rupees to get the fire rod to be able to get the lamp in the Firelock section of Skull Woods. That's nasty.
Now, what is it we are missing here? We're missing the hookshot for Swamp Palace.
And we're also missing the bow as well, which we definitely do need at some point, because we need that to be able to... Well, in the vanilla enemy set, you would need that to get through to Ganon. But, what's not to say, we really can't have a bow not required seed, can we? I've never heard of such hearsay nonsense.
It's true. Looks like PRD is heading back to Turtle Rock, though.
Well, he's got all the equipment to finish it, and no boss can stop him at this point, so I can't blame him because it's Green Pendant, and it seems like Green Pendant Turtle Rock always has something. Or is that my imagination having a go with me? Except I wouldn't wish Silverless Master Sword on Ganon on anyone. I had to do that already once. This tournament, once is enough.
Saltyphry also saying no thank you to the 10 arrows from the catfish.
Salty might be a little salty when he sees what he gets up here.
PRD opting to do the longer route, but not have to take her hookshot dive.
Without a hookshot, the switchy. Oh, hello, Bo! That was the play! Wow! That is going to make things so much easier.
Not sure how that skeleton's standing there, but...
Magics at this point.
Indeed, so the only thing we are missing at this point is the hookshot.
And we know it can't be at Pyramid Fairy, so we know that's out by logic. Could that item be at Mimic Cave? We have not seen any hint for the Mimic Cave item. Or it could be Green Pendant at this point. Again, things we have not seen possible hints for, but they could be out there. Going off of what we see here, that is a slight possibility. Oh, and the combination of the bunny beam and the eye door laser is enough to take PRD down back to the start of the dungeon.
Painful.
Speaking of painful, these fire bars are in a pretty inopportune spot. I mean, it's good placement, by the randomizer, but in terms of our players, they probably don't like it.
And I can't blame them for it, because I don't like it either. I'm not even having to play this seed. That firebar there kind of breaking the game.
But it's hitting on the lower layer of the room, so PRD is able to walk over it without taking any damage. The bow was in Turtle Rock, this area past the fire rod lock, and there's our first chain chomp.
I missed them. Chain chomps are probably my favorite enemies to see in Randomizer, because they're delightfully trolly, so to say.
Well, I will agree, they are certainly a trolly enemy to run into. The crystal rollers are pretty nasty in their own right, because sometimes their placement can really throw off routing.
And saltyphry about to get his.
So Mimic Cave is a possibility we could see here.
Oh, getting a nice stack of armor snites there for the Cannon Burner strats. One of the
Oh, that last armor smite was trying to get back in bounds, but saltyphry cuts it down before it's able to. And a heart continued in Mimic Cave.
That was interesting, because it actually screen warped from the top to the bottom there, that last armor snipe did.
Don't see too many screen warps like that nowadays. I mean, in old NES titles, you could see something like that, but not in not in games like this.
saltyphry will be picking up their lair here momentarily.
Thankfully, no crystal roller there at the crystal roller chests of Turtle Rock, because that can be trolly, as we are coming up on Laser Bridge.
saltyphry heading back towards Meyer from the looks of it.
Oh, that is one trolly nasty spot for a chain chomp. My oh my, it's like they get... Okay, that is straight evil. Can I get some rude emotes in chat? Because that was nasty.
Alright, Turtle Rock, not playing around today.
We got ourselves a swag net. The saltyphry is making the move to wrap up Desert Palace. He might have been practicing the non-mirror shield strats there. Can't hurt. Perfect bomb by saltyphry, the best weapon to use against a Hinox. Outside of the silver arrows, bombs, and, well, interesting place for the landmills to burrow to.
So we're at what? 1 Vitreous, 2 landmills, 2 armor snites.
And a partridge in a pear tree.
Well, it is the holiday season.
And now with the green pendant, that will yield something from Sahasrara. And we'll see if it was the right play to finish Turtle Rock, and holy smokes, that Moldorm has got way too many eyes. Now is just for the crystal, which saltyphry gets out of Desert Palace. And it looks like PRD is going to make the Spike Cave play. This is in logic, thanks to the bottles, as well as having Cane of Burna and Half Magic. And yes, I know Moldorm can have more eyes. I've seen it have more eyes. And just bombs at the end of Spike Cave. Not a bad check to make, but not the right check for this seed.
Saltyphry, finishing Desert, heading into Misery Mire.
Now, I like this play from a routing standpoint, because you get to finish one of the required dungeons and then just turn right back around and get the other one in that same area. In terms of routing, it saves a lot of time, and a number of top-level randomizer players will utilize that routing whenever possible.
Indeed, and we have PRD heading back to Pod, interestingly enough. Nope, never mind. Sarasahala.
Yep, this is the Mirror to Sahasrara part, and let's see. It is just Couch Cash. Move right along. Still, this wouldn't be a bad time to finish off Eastern Palace, but that's just me. Might look to... Wait a sec, I think I know what PRD might be going for here, just reading the way he's going about things. It looks like he's playing this as a blind pedestal seed. That is one heck of a gamble. It is basically going for a home run swing. Whereas, unfortunately, if he misses, then saltyphry would likely win. However, it is definitely not a bad gamble to make, because you've got right on the other side of the mirror here is Pod. So, wait, I might be misreading, so don't mind me. That is certainly possible, but we shall see.
Getting the hint about the graveyard cliff cave there, a little bit too late, but the only thing PRD is looking for at this point is we are missing Hookshot.
Hookshot's go mode. Who gets it first? Salty gets it first. We go into no mode, where we know the items, but not everyone's put the pieces together yet. That's always fun.
Indeed.
And PRD back to get some revenge on the enemy set that got him earlier. And takes him down.
PRD going to have a much easier time on the boss here, because he will actually have the bow for the Armor's Knights.
Yeah, the bow is the best weapon for the Armor's Knights, and when you add the silver arrows into it, don't blink, because it becomes a very quick fight.
And it's over.
Yep. Done just like that.
Chat also pointing out that with the way that our players are, they're all really, really good at this game. Salty doesn't technically need the bow for Ganon, because they'll be able to pull off a spin strats, but the bow definitely makes it much more quicker.
Yeah, I'm just hoping our runners don't have to do a Silverless Master Sword, because that is not a fun experience. Oh, hello, Hookshot. You were held by Cold Stare at the end of Mire. Holy smokes. That puts us in no mode. Saltyphry might as well be in go mode if he doesn't want to go into Turtle Rock again. Wow, what a turn of events. So unfortunately for PRD, well, unfortunately this isn't the ballpark to be in, but it's a good idea. It's just one that's not going to work out.
Indeed, Salty heading straight towards Ice Palace.
Yeah, in this situation where you don't have to look for any items of any kind, what you'll see a number of runners do is they will go for Ice Palace Bomb Jump, which saves a lot of time when you don't have to dig up items, and is the primary strat used for Ice Palace in the NMG run.
That is a rude firebar.
Certainly not a friendly place for that.
Salty noping out of the compass chest room.
I don't blame him one bit, because that is a nasty enemy set that basically you're using either a medallion or bow with silvers on to clear it out quick. Now, unfortunately, the quick strat that's used in NMG doesn't fly in Randomizer because of the enemy randomizer. Well, PRD is going to be happy to see Vitreous because silvers make this fight a lot easier. That red coloration as well as the spike, ugh, that's not easy on the eyes, to say the least.
Yeah, he needs some.
Oh, there's some defense in the red mail. Now that looks cool, I gotta admit.
Alright, Salty, don't die.
Gotta hit this. No, and by missing it, that's a death.
Ouch.
I get why he's going for the bomb jump, though, because it's a huge time save over playing out the dungeon. But you gotta watch health, and I know there have been times where I have said no to doing just that on the bomb jump because I figured I'm better off not taking a death, but that's just me.
Indeed, and I can't even get the bomb jump reliable enough to try it more than one or two times before moving on to do the dungeon the normal strat.
Yeah, for me, I feel like I'm very hit or miss. Sometimes I'm on the pixel that you have to be. Other times I'm off by a pixel, and I just come up a little bit short. Ew, now the fire snake takes a shot at Saltyphry.
Salty just not having good luck here.
And this enemy set's not doing him any favors either.
PRD back in Tower of Hera. Probably still looking for that hook shot.
I think he's got it in his mind that he has to do a blind pedestal pull, but unfortunately we know that that's not the right play. I mean, it would be great if it were the right play, because folks love to see pedestal pulls. I know I like to see those. I don't like to play those necessarily, but, well, Well, at least we'll see what pedestal is on the plus side.
PRD finding the second Vitreous.
Yeah, this is the Vitreous that I tried to kill in my race earlier with just Fighter Sword. It did not go very well, and he's going to alternate strats because he does not have enough arrows. Now, unfortunately, with Cane of Burna going, he's not able to do spin attacks, so he's just going to have to slash the eyeballs down.
And unfortunately, Vitreous' location up there on the Moldorm platform is not really great.
Yeah, it's an unfriendly location, to say the least. Now switches to the bow.
Yep.
Ooh, saltyphry, no! So I wonder, based off the bomb jump difficulty that I'm seeing, could that like be throwing off the bomb jumps just from its hopping around, or am I imagining it?
See, I was wondering the same thing there, because most times I've seen a saltyphry race before. This is the there is very unusual.
Oh, he might just be a little bit off going for the bomb jump. I mean, that does happen to even the best runners.
It's true.
I mean, usually before my races, I practice what the bomb jump is. Now, let's see what pet is. Today, the pedestal is Vampire Skewers. And the Frustration Slashes.
Looks like PRD is heading to the Mire and Desert Palace combo.
Well, now he's on the right track for sure. As soon as he finishes off Mire, he'll be in go mode. And then I do declare we have ourselves a bit of a potential barn burner, as if saltyphry does not get a sword upgrade, it's going to be 52 spins versus a mere 34 for PRD in the Ganon fight.
Indeed. Salty is checking chests though, so he's probably still hoping to find the bow somewhere around here.
We shall see, but so far he's only getting small keys. Now, unfortunately, the sword, that's not going to work against that particular enemy. Thought I had pushed to talk press. Those electrified enemies are those you actually have to stun first before hitting with the sword, otherwise Link gets electrocuted. Yeah, that is a good question, because that certainly looked glitchy, like something you might see in the bit races.
A rude crystal roller there in
Salty went for the other bomb jump, but missed it.
Salty just not having too much luck today with these bomb jumps, unfortunately.
Yeah, that could any runner could run into that on any given day. There's the big key. in the iced tea chest. Although I swear, looking at that room, it looks like a mallet blown up to a massive room size.
Lucky anti-fairy location there for Salty gets a health refill.
And Salty's heading into the Ice Palace boss room now. Interesting enemy spawn, though, and one of the Hinox's bombs does the work of clearing one of them out. And a third Vitreous! I think Salty's wishing he had the bow right about now.
Salty using the same strats that PRD used in the Terror fight.
Had just enough magic to get through phase 1 now. Please, Salty, don't get hit.
Opting to use the hammer here.
Nicely done.
That was indeed a very good fight for Salty.
Yep, that was a Vitreous hat trick. Uh-oh, we got a Stalfos Knight hopping mad on PRD's side.
Got an anti-fairy grab on PRD's side as well.
And Salty's going into Swamp House, and a Go Mode Swamp is my favorite swamp because you're not there very long. Through it nice and quick. Only real question at this point is, who's the boss?
Indeed. Salty could still be trying to find that bow, though. Not sure at this point. With all of the Vitreuses we keep finding.
While PRD takes on Cold Stare. Interesting thing to note about this boss chamber is that even though that's not Vitreous, that upper area still counts as a damaging floor.
Which does make a Cold Stare fight much more dangerous.
Yeah, it's already bad enough as it is. You include this mess? Oh boy. But PRD's out of it. And he will be glad to see the hook shot, as that will put him in go mode.
Saltyphry not even opting to check the first chest there in Swamp Palace, interestingly enough.
Yeah, I think he's concluded that he's got enough and is just going for it. Meanwhile, PRD appears to be setting up to make a run into Desert, which would finish this corner of the overworld.
This has not been too healthy of a seed for our players here, though. PRD
On the
only with
flip side,
10.
the Randomizer hasn't done anything particularly nasty, although that could change in Ganon's Tower. I will put a disclaimer on that right now. Ganon's Tower could have the nastiest enemy set of this seed. We shall see.
Get ready for that gauntlet.
As we've got PRD taking on a Moldorm that looks like it has eyes that are the equivalent of hair curlers, but I could be wrong there. And we've got ourselves an Argus. It's kind of
his vanilla location, too.
Yep, although the room certainly looks different without the usual water on the floor, I'll say that much. PRD heading to Ice Palace.
Salty doing very good work to get Argus down there.
And Argus had a big key.
This does technically mean Salty can go ahead and go up into Ganon's Tower, but I don't... Without that though, who knows?
Looks like he's headed that way unless he dips into Turtle Rock.
Always a possibility. Turtle Rock is on the way. And Salty would be very happy with himself if he made that choice.
Might as well start it up then. Get your big key location guesses in now. It is anywhere between 1 and 22 for the Ganon's Tower big key. Anyone can guess, but the first closest from a sub or supporter, sub to any Speed Gaming channel, or cheered a total of 250 bits or more, well, that person gets on a leaderboard.
What's your guess today, Leslie?
I'm going for... Let's go 7. Why not?
I'm kind of 8, so...
I see what PRD is doing here, using input buffer strats to line up the bomb jump. Likes the lineup, but nope. And I think that like is really throwing off the bomb jump there.
Indeed, PRD not even gonna bother with it.
Yeah, that's what it's looking like to me, that Randomizer is just saying absolutely no.
No bomb jumps in Ice Palace today.
So let's see what it is. 1, no. Hi, Bob. Wow! It was the God pattern number 2. You don't get too many Ganon Towers that give you that pattern, but that is pretty darn good. Yeah, this is certainly not a lot of hearts, but we do have mail upgrades around, so in a sense it offsets in that regard.
Saltyphry is going to have to hope he finds a sword upgrade here in one of the last few chests on the way up, because having to do that many spins strats, unfortunately, on the Ganon fight is definitely going to be a huge time loss compared to PRD.
Yeah, PRD easily has a few minutes gained on the Ganon fight just from the bow itself. So not having it is certainly going to be to his disadvantage. I don't know if that's going to be enough of a disadvantage to turn the tide at this point, because we still got a ways to go. It's not over till somebody hits that done.
Indeed.
Interesting gauntlet setup with enemies you'd see in Ice Palace in the first room. Okay, this enemy set's certainly a little more favorable.
With the lack of BMOS, though, these gauntlet rooms, while still dangerous, are not half as bad as they normally could be.
Oh, jeez, GFE, that would be trolly if a cold stare were up ahead.
Ooh.
When in doubt, medallions are a good play in an Randomizer gauntlet.
Indeed.
And a fourth Vitreous! What in the world?
So Vitreous must have decided he didn't like being in one of the worst dungeons, so decided to put himself in all of the others.
Yep, and at this point, not having bow is starting to loom like an even larger time loss than having it.
And it's quite unfortunate, because with where bow location was, that TR dip would have taken all of 2 minutes maximum.
Yeah, in this case it would have been a bit of a time investment that would have had one heck of a return. A return that would have been a positive in terms of time gained, but that's just me.
Very true.
Yeah, that's certainly an advantage of the shooter having in certain rooms, is that it won't fire. Certainly a welcome change. Now, something you could do to take out the enemies here, Quake to take, well, depending on enemies die to Quake. Well, actually, Salty's got this.
So Salty there, trying to go through his potion bottles, but looks like he did not have anything. And unfortunately out of magic for these anti-fairies.
The good news is that the anti-fairies can't take away any of his magic. The bad news is, well, let's just hope this... Oh wait, the enemy's stunned, so... Oh, this requires Lamp. He's only got one shot at this. Oh, the
No.
door rejected him.
Unfortunate.
You've ever had anybody slam a door in your face? Well, yeah, that's basically how saltyphry feels right now, because that's exactly what the game did.
Luckily, though, a full magic refill right there.
Where that guard spawned was perfect, because it's just like, oh, I'll just spawn over a pit. Nope, I'm out of here.
Oh, Salty getting super lucky getting a sword upgrade.
Absolutely. That is a very fortuitous sword upgrade. And I think that's going to all but seal it for saltyphry, barring something very unusual happening. See what this last boss is. Oh, why not a 5th Vitreous? Because the game knows.
I'm going to start a 12 Days of Christmas parody sometime soon about Randomizer.
That would probably be good LOLs for the Randomizer community.
Even chat agrees. This is hilarious. Come on.
Oh, die now. Ooh. Got him. And an arrow refill, which doesn't do him any good, but, well, we shall see. Unfortunately, no, the Aghanim fights are static. Starts it with a double. Couldn't really tell there. This is a good lineup here. Despite the blue ball, still gets 2 hits in. And down goes Aghanim.
I wonder if Salty's just gonna go head straight in or opt to bounce and get some potions there.
There is a fairy in one of the trees at the bottom of the pyramid. That would help here. And he's going straight for it.
With 12 minutes to go until a 2-hour seed, can't exactly blame him. Especially with not knowing exactly where your opponent is at this point, you just wanna...
And down goes saltyphry. Game over, return of Ganon. Actually, it's not a bad thing, he gets some health back. Pretty good strats there against this in this Argus fight, using a spin slash to take out 2 instead of just 1. I haven't been able to get that strat to work myself, but maybe that's just me. Either way, that is a fantastic phase 1. Could have used silvers, but instead obstacle fire rod to save arrows, and that's probably a good idea because what he doesn't know is that there are more Vitreous ahead.
Not that he even has enough arrows right now to defeat Ganon.
True that. This could be a dozen spins for saltyphry. Getting some very good spins off.
Indeed, and he got the torch glitch, so he doesn't have to worry about lighting both up, just the one, thankfully.
Torch glitch is definitely important in any silverless setting, and especially silverless Master Sword, as PRD releases the bee to get a bottle, or rather a potion in it.
Especially considering that saltyphry has no potions, so...
And that doesn't really matter, because saltyphry takes Ganon down. Ladies and gentlemen, we have bacon. Get your GGs in chat for the winner of this race in an impressive fashion and an official SRL time of 1 hour, 15 minutes, 32 seconds. That was definitely quite the finish, and what really paid off in this race. Oh, and with that, we are joined by our winner, saltyphry. GG. Very well played.
Thank you. That was interesting to say the least.
Oh, it certainly was, and while you didn't play through all the dungeons, PRD did, and that definitely made a difference in how this seed was the result. He wound up running, between the two of you, there were 5 Vitreous in this seed.
Yeah, I managed to catch a bit of the restream at the end there, so I did kind of hear that. But yeah, I was lucky. I guess I only saw, 3 of them, I guess? With, I guess, the 2 in Ganon's Tower. I think the weird thing is like I missed that fire rod early on. I guess that's kind of ended up being a good thing, because I went around everywhere, but it kind of limited kind of what I could do to some extent, I guess. So I think if I'd got that earlier, who knows? Like, obviously, like I went into Turtle Rock, so if I go in there with the fire rod, I end up full clearing that for sure at that point in time. But who knows? It was really kind of weird just because it took me so long to finally get that fire rod. It was almost the last location, I think, by the time I got there.
You both found fire rod fairly late, actually, so...
Okay, but I guess he hadn't gone to Turtle Rock probably when he got the fire rod, right? Because I know he went back in there, which would probably explain that.
Mm-hmm. Did you happen to catch where the bow location was?
I didn't, but I'm guessing it's in Turtle Rock, almost certainly.
Oh, it was, and it was very early. It was after that first... It was past where you gotta light the torches, where the fire rod was required. So it wasn't too terribly far in, but it was definitely there.
It definitely would have been nice to have. Like, it was kind of a tease, especially when you get those silvers almost like very first thing as well. Like, I got those, I'm like, oh, that's sweet. There's a great weapon if I can find the bow sometime soon. Sure enough, this is my first seed I've ever had where I didn't get the bow.
First seed that I've seen where the bow was actually not required. The only way that is an Randomizer setting, so now I know.
Yeah, I've done a couple Randomizers, haven't done a whole lot of it prior to this, so there was still a little bit of learning going on in this one, that's for sure, for me. Like most of the ones I'd done prior to this, Mini Moldworm Cave always was a lot worse than it was today. That's why I kind of ran around everywhere but there, hoping to maybe find a sword or something, and I even went and spent extra money on bombs, because most of the times when I've done this, 10 bombs generally doesn't get it done in Mini Moldworm Cave against the enemies in there.
Yeah, we were wondering why you were avoiding Mini Moldworm Cave for a bit, but that does make sense. An Randomizer flag can even turn the simplest of checks into anything but.
Yeah, like that's exactly it. Like pretty much, well, I've only done a few of these, so I don't have a whole lot of experience, but most of the ones I have done, generally Mini Moldworm Cave just starts off with a bang, and yeah, and if you just go in there with just your usual bombs, expecting to bomb them down like you do the Mini Moldworms, it usually doesn't go too well. This one was obviously an exception, because 3 of the 4 enemies were a Mini Moldworm, and the other one was a Mini Helmosaur that just ran in the pit for you.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with Randomizer myself. I've only played like a handful of seeds, so it's certainly different to go through a version of the game where the enemies are not your typical enemy sets. So I'm still learning myself.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. It was a lot of fun, though, to say the least. It's always interesting having a couple Armos fights that you get to do without the bow. That's always an interesting time. And like every time I got to a boss, I always had to stop and reevaluate. I'm like, all right, what's my best way to attack this boss now? And then my whole little mire thing, that was kind of like early on, things felt like they were going pretty good. And then I did that whole little mire thing where I ended up getting all the way to the boss and literally got absolutely nothing out of going in there because I couldn't kill the boss and I got no items either out of it all. So that just felt like a huge waste of time. And I proceeded to go to Turtle Rock and get nothing there. And proceeded to go to Pod and get nothing there before I finally found the Fire Rod.
Well, I've certainly had that luck in my last Randomizer race. Although, speaking of, something seemed up with the Ice Palace bomb jump for both of you. I'm wondering if the enemy in that room was throwing that off somehow.
Yeah, I have absolutely no clue about that. I've never had that kind of trouble with the Ice Palace bomb jump. Like, the first time I set it up in there, like, I was almost certain I was set up perfect. I'm pretty sure I was the second time, or at least, like, perfect to what I normally do. But for whatever reason, it didn't want to work. And yeah, that was pretty frustrating to say the least, because I was just expecting to be in go mode and just kind of cruise through, and then all of a sudden I run into this huge issue there. And I was starting to wonder, like, am I going to lose by like a minute or two, and this is going to cost me the race or something like that, something really dumb like that?
Yeah, it's understandable to think like that in that situation, for sure. But yeah, it's something I'd never seen before either, and it's my understanding from chat, if you have any flying enemies in that particular quad block, the Ice Palace bomb jump just doesn't work.
Really? That's good to know, because I got another Randomizer race tomorrow, so that's definitely good that I know that, because after you see the credits roll through, you'll see I actually go back in Ice Palace and try it a bunch of more times and fail a bunch of more times at it, so you'll get to watch me do that.
Ooh, PRD got one chest but did not open the chest that had the tempered sword in it. Ooh.
That was a very lucky find at the end there for you too.
But he doesn't have a key, so he's got to go back. Maybe he'll open it up.
Hopefully. Oh, PRD.
We just got the tease on that one.
I guess the big saving grace is at least he has the bow, so it's not Master Sword Silverless, it's Master Sword Silvers.
Yeah, I had to do that last race. It was not fun, to say the least. Well, if anything, he'll get 10 arrows out of this chest to make the Ganon fight a little bit easier.
Indeed, and we have PRD going into his Aghanim 2 fight here.
Speaking of Randomizer, my race tomorrow, I believe, is also Randomizer, so this was good to watch to learn about the various things that Randomizer can do, so I'll have to remember for tomorrow night.
Indeed, I've seen more Randomizer ran in the past couple of weeks than I have in the past year. how many Master Sword spins is it to get Ganon face to face?
It's 12 for each of the first 2 phases. Then 1 for each hit in phase 3. After that, it's like 24 for phase 4 and silverless, or if you have silvers, it's a spin to stun and then an arrow.
Okay. I'm never too sure of my math on the Master Sword silverless. I've never been unlucky enough to have it happen.
And I've had a few,
myself.
I've had a few unlucky races where that was the case.
And we do see you going back into the Ice Palace here, Salty.
Yeah, you'll get to watch me fail at that bomb jump another 5 or 6 times.
Yeah, it was probably the enemy set up for that room, because the room before that didn't appear to have anything. It had like the usual stuff. It had to have been the like, or I can't remember what enemies were in the room that followed it. So, well, who knows? Really, it's just weird that didn't work for whatever reason, and now we know.
PR dude making good work of his potions here, though, to get those spin sashes in. Gets to
On
the
to phase
teleporting
3.
phase.
And here we go into the final phase. PRD opting to go for the torch glitch instead of the hint. Good call, he got it. One hit to go. And with that, we've got bacon. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, get your GGs in chat for prdwong, who has finished this race with an official time of 2 hours, 3 minutes, 12 seconds.
Indeed, a very well done fight on his end. We've got him down in the setup room, and there he is. GG, PRD.
GG, PRD. Well played.
Thanks, guys. GG, Salty.
GG.
Well, I mean, I thought I was really behind when I found that fire rod, but watching that end of the restream, I guess I wasn't actually, and maybe if I hadn't gone for Ped, then would have been a lot closer.
You actually found it first.
Oh no, because I mean, I thought for sure like Salty would have hit up that entire area, and like because I passed up a few rupees and I was just a little bit short, so I was like, uh-oh, he probably found this a long time ago, and he's, you know, he could have done Skull Woods and maybe the beginning of Turkall a lot earlier. So I was like, I guess I gotta just hope for something in one of the pendant dungeons, but it wasn't to be.
Yeah, what happened is when you both went to that area the first time, neither of you had 500 rupees, and that's why the fire rod remained hidden for as long as it did.
Yeah, it ended up almost being my last location. I don't even remember. Or I guess I could have gone to Spike Cave. I think Spike Cave was the only thing that was still in Logic at that point in time, although I did have the flippers from Eastern, but they weren't in Logic because they were in the dark part of it.
Well, I mean, that's fine. Like I'm still happy with the decisions I made. I think it was. I think 9 times out of 10, I should be behind at that point, having kind of bet at the time to not pick up Zora because of the money. So I think that was probably my best shot for winning normally. It just happened that in this case that looks like Salty also skipped it, so didn't really work out. But that's rando.
Yeah, like I did pretty much literally everything I could before going in and getting that fire rod. Like I even went into Mire, went all the way to the boss, through the dark room, got literally nothing out of that, which felt like a huge waste of time. So like that's probably a lot of the reason why you got it first and you felt like you were way behind, is because like I literally felt the exact same way at that point in time, because yeah, I'd been all around, went into Mire for completely nothing, and then I got the fire rod and realized, oh hey, I could have gotten everything if I just had that fire rod when I went in there. But on the plus side, I did go right back there more or less after getting the fire rod, so I got the hook shot, and then I'm like, oh, I'm in go mode, I don't need the bow, so let's go.
Yeah, I had definitely considered hitting up Mire and Desert, but I felt so behind that I was like, I think if I just do the regular course, it's not going to work out for me. But, alright. I saw a lot of people talking about Ice Palace, though.
Yeah, that was another big incident for me. I ended up actually dying and going back, trying again, and eventually just, yeah, going and finding the big key.
Yeah, so that is a thing about Randomizer. What Febreze said was right, and I think he picked that up from me. But actually, you can tell, like on my first entrance into Ice Palace, even though I'm in go mode, like I opened up that first chest because if it had the big key, then I didn't really have to worry about the bomb jump that much. But you should be able to kill the flying enemies in the room past the bomb jump. The only problem is last seed where I tried that, like I couldn't get the enemies to stay dead. As soon as I left the room and came back, like they came back. So the bomb jump still wouldn't work at that point. So I decided not to try it this time. Maybe I should have just tried it, but yeah. So I went through Ice Palace the whole way, probably just like you did.
Yeah, I didn't end up getting the first chest, so that was the one thing. I was praying that the big key was somewhere down below, and then I wasn't going to have to go all the way back to the start again.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, it turned out the big key was like way all the way over in Ice Tea Room, so I was a little bit unhappy about that. I was hoping it was like on the right side or something.
Yeah, you guys weren't actually all that far behind each other. The biggest thing Salty had against him was not finding the bow and opting to go into Ganon's tower bowless. But he made it work. And then, of course, she deciding to blind full pedestal, which chat loved, for the record.
That was another reason for me to do it, because I figured my chances weren't all that high for winning, so I was like, well, I might as well just give chat a little bit something.
It's unusual. Your collection rate is really low for going through all 10 dungeons.
I think the Ganon's Tower big key probably has a lot to do with that.
It's true.
Yeah, I would agree, because that was literally the god pattern for Ganon's Tower big key.
Like that's always a huge X factor when it comes to your collection rate. Like if you open 2 chests, getting that big key as opposed to opening 20, like there's 18 items in difference right there.
So is there anything you guys would have done different for this seed? Aside from not making it an Randomizer?
I got no problem with the Randomizer part. well, I can learn from that Ice Palace bomb jump incident. That could have saved me definitely some time. I might reconsider the whole mire dip prior to having a fire source of some type. That was definitely a big waste of time. But in the end, maybe getting the fire rod super late worked out for the best for me, really, so I can't complain too much.
We were made to saltyphry PRD, but flying enemies tend to screw up the Ice Palace bomb jump.
Yeah, the presence of flying enemies on the super tile changes your trajectory when the bomb jump pushes you. So because Ice Palace bomb jump is so precise, that'll make it basically impossible to do the bomb jump anymore. It'll affect other bomb jumps as well, but I don't recall ever having problems with the other ones. So I think because usually they're just like from a wide ledge to another wide ledge. The Ice Palace one, you gotta like kind of push yourself around those blocks, so that's why it messes up.
Yeah, because saltyphry had attempted to do the full jump to get in the room right above the big key chest, and failed with that one as well, which was a little surprising.
I think that one I just actually screwed up. That one, it's more of just me screwing up on that one.
Here I am willing to give it to the enemies.
To be fair, there was absolutely no reason to do that bomb jump either, since I had since the switch was flipped at that point in time, and I could just walk through that room down below. I was thinking that those pegs were going to be up, and I was going to have to go all the way down and back up to get up to the iced tea room. So that was just me kind of forgetting what's going on and being frustrated with everything at that point in time.
That could happen to anybody.
Very true.
Well, in the end, I mean, I had fun with the seed. Like, I accomplished what I wanted to do for this tournament. So, and Randomizer it's always nice to do different types of seeds.
Do either of you have any other matches coming up, or have you guys completed all of yours?
I have 3 matches scheduled in the next 2 days. None against prdwong, though.
Maybe we should do one.
So you got a double header coming up. I'm considering one of those later on, but not yet.
I am free tomorrow afternoon if you're looking for a 3rd race tomorrow.
Oh, I gotta make sure I have enough time to vote, so I'm trying to keep it.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Yeah, I'm just kidding. More than anything, I could probably use some time off anyway, since I do have 3 other matches in the next 2 days as it is.
Yeah, I'm happy though that I don't have to choose any more settings though. Like I found that a lot more difficult than I thought it would be. So I've got all those matches out of the way, and now I'll let other people decide or let it randomly go and see what happens.
Yeah, I kind of like the random aspect of this. Like, I just kind of picked basically inverted for all of my races. I just wanted to kind of keep it simple to what I'm kind of familiar with. Because then I figured I'd just get the crazy stuff later on, and I can just kind of enjoy that as it comes and just take that as it goes. I figure at some point in time I'm going to have to do a little bit of everything for the most part.
Oh, I wanted to make sure I had a bunch of variety no matter what. So I just picked a different variation against each of the 5 opponents. So I've done Retro, Key Sanity, Randomizer, Swordless, and Inverted. Yeah, so I got those all out of the way, and I'm sure like for the random ones, maybe we'll get even like crazier options, but we'll see.
That's kind of what I was figuring. That's why I didn't really want to go too crazy right off the bat, just kind of to keep things relatively straightforward. Because who knows what's going to end up happening in those last sets of races. I mean, I'm lucky with the first one I'm going to do is just going to be a basic standard Key Sanity, so that's pretty much nothing.
All right, I gotta take off, but thank you guys for doing the commentary and everyone for setting this up, and GG Salty.
GG.
Alrighty, have a good night, PRD, and GG as well. And with that, I've good time for me to ask this. Any final thoughts from Salty or my co-com Spy Poet?
Not too much. I think I covered most of it there. I'll just say thanks a lot to you guys for commenting. Thanks to the trackers. Thanks to the restreamers. And have a good night, everyone.
As always, stay tuned to the Speed Gaming schedule. We have a ton of Link to the Past Randomizer races probably going forward until I don't even know when the 720 qualifier matches they have to do in loops right now end.
I think it's sometime early December. Although there is Chrono Trigger scheduled for tomorrow at 11:30 and 1:30 finals, so that should be hype.
Absolutely, so make sure you turn into the finals. As always, if you're interested in doing Link to the Past Randomizer, we have website up at ALTTPR.com. We also have a Discord. Feel free to hop on, let us know if you want to get started playing. Everyone's always willing to help out.
Absolutely, and the only other thing I've got is, as it was brought up in the interview, if you live in the States, tomorrow's election day, so get out and vote.
Absolutely. Alrighty. And as always, thank you to Febreze Ninja for doing all of the actual non-racing hard work behind the scenes as our tracker.
Absolutely, hats off. It was good to be back, and I'm looking forward to the next time I commentate, whenever that may be. Spy Poet, this was a fun experience, as well as a good race, and hopefully there will be more in the near future.
Absolutely. Alright, guys, this is Spy Poet. Check it out. Have a good evening.
This is Leslie Pro 4 saying have a good night, and keep smiling.